everyone, welcome back to Ace Run Disc Golf. It is officially that time of year again where we go through my entire bag for 2025. I don't know how we've made it to this time of year again. 2025 has been flying by for me, and I'm honestly filming this a bit later than I typically would because I haven't been playing in any tournaments this season. And that's for a variety of different reasons, but ultimately I just kind of wanted a summer off after doing Ledgestone and other A-tiers and Worlds and things like that. This year I'm kind of focusing more on honing in the bag, fixing some form things that you guys are probably familiar with, and also just playing disc golf for fun again. This year, my bag has changed a little bit, but most of my discs are like tried and true discs. So I think this is gonna be a really fun in the bag because I've got a lot of reps on each of these molds and each of these discs to talk to you about. I think that the best place to start is with the bag itself. This year I am still carrying the Ledgestone 2023 Grip EQ bag. And the reason is because this was a free bag and it's a very nice bag. There are a ton of new types of bags that you can customize and things like that on the market. But for me, this one is super nice, holds all my discs, has a bunch of pockets, has been through a lot of rounds, and I do really like it. The one thing I will say about it is that it is on the heavy side. Like if Charles and I switch bags for whatever reason, it feels like the weight of the world is lifted off my shoulders when we switch bags. This thing is a beast. But that's because it's filled with all of the best discs in the world and other things that I might need in a tournament round. Start by talking about my putters because these haven't changed. Literally the exact discs haven't changed probably for the last 3 in the bags. These are Jawbreaker Focuses and they're specifically from an Adam Hammy's run. I love a Jawbreaker Focus. I need a beaded putter. That is the most important thing to me. But the texture of Jawbreaker plastic is why I love these specifically. I've tried other Focuses. Listen, these are where it's at. Would highly recommend. Next up is Putt and Approach discs, and I'm gonna go in order of my most used to my least used. The first being my most used approach disc is this Prodigy A5, and this is from when I played in Worlds, and you can tell it's very well loved with the amount of scratches and dirt on this thing because it is a heavy, stable approach disc. I love this for forehand shots as well as like a standstill backhand where you're like a little bit outside putting range. This is fantastic. It's super flat, which makes it very easy to hold and to understand what angle you're putting it on. As this has aged in, it is become a bit more neutral, which just makes me like it even more. I have multiple backups of the A5 because I know that if I ever lost this, I would need a new one in my bag immediately. Next up is the Axiom Proxy, and this I got in a haul a couple of years ago, and it is the best neutral flying approach disc I've ever thrown. If you need something that is a touch shorter than a mid, but a little easier to throw than a traditional putter, I find putters to be like my focuses are too deep for me to grip backhand. I don't like the feel of them, so that's where this comes into play. It is such a beautiful flying disc, and you can push it a little bit further than maybe you would with a putter, but you have that control that you sometimes don't have if you try to disc up or disc down. It's just the perfect in-between slot. And this disc is newer to the bag. I can't remember if I had it last year or not, but this is a UV Glow Zone. And zones are fantastic utility approach discs. I have this in my bag specifically for a big hyzer approach shot. Like that shot where you need something that is heavy that's just gonna like dump in. That's when I'm pulling out the zone. And this disc is really cool. It looks yellow right now, but if I were to go out in the sun, it turns bright blue. So the UV glow plastic is really cool as well. Next, we're gonna talk about mids, and this is probably my most boring category. One, because there's not a lot of changes, and two, because 3 of them are the same mold, which if you can guess what that mold is in the comments, you win. The first mid in my bag is the Paradox by Axiom. This is one of the flippiest mids I've ever thrown, and I keep it in my bag for like those really weird shots where it's like you are in the woods and you need to throw something crazy, you're in a bush, you need to get out of it. This is just really easy to throw. It's super glidey. You get into those tricky situations, it can be very handy. If you guessed buzz for my other 3 mids, you're correct, because as you may or may not know, I am a buzz boy. I love buzzes. I think they are the easiest to throw mid, and one of the reasons I love them is because there are so many slight variations of a buzz that you can get the mold that fits in your hand so well in a variety of slight adjustments. And that's why I have 3 of them. My first buzz is a Z Glow Flex Buzz. This is my straightest flying buzz, and it's the one I go to the most. It's the easiest to throw. It is straight as an arrow, super dependable. Love her. This one is a Buzz SS, and it's very similar to the other Buzz, but it's a touch, like literally this much more stable. So sometimes if I just want the extra confidence of knowing this isn't gonna turn over, I'll pull this out. Sometimes if it's just that much windier, I'll pull this one out. They're very similar, but I use them for different things. And finally, this is my ESP Swirl Buzz. This plastic, the Discraft ESP Swirl, is up there for one of my favorite plastics that they make. This buzz is, I would say, that much more stable than the yellow buzz. So they're all very similar, but I like them for incremental wind changes, or a lot of times I pull this out when I have a big hyzer approach shot. This disc specifically, I'm very comfortable putting it out on a big hyzer when I need like more distance than what the zone will get me, if that makes sense. That's when I'm pulling this buzz specifically out of my bag. Next up is fairway drivers, and my collection of fairways is definitely growing. I describe this, which is the MVP relay, as a get out of jail free card. It's super light. It's super glidey, it's quite flippy, and if you're in the woods and you need to throw a standstill shot that is going to cover some distance, like 200 plus, but you can't do a run up, you're in a weird angle, like it's just like one of those throws where you want to put power on something, but it's not gonna be your optimal form, this disc is easy to throw and it's gonna get the job done. Okay, this disc actually has a little bit of an asterisk next to it, I will be honest. This is the Lat 64 Brave. I really like this disc, okay? However, for about a month, this has been out of my bag, and I've replaced it with a Clash Soda. They're very similar. It's a 7-speed, super neutral flying fairway, which is fantastic for like those longer holes where you get to that middle shot where it's like, I'm not throwing like a buzz that far, but it's not a distance driver either, things like that. This is very similar to the Soda. I was able to trust the Soda that much more. Like for some reason it was jumping out of my hand just a touch better. However, I've lost the Soda. I just lost it a couple weeks ago and I haven't got a new one. So the Brave is back in the bag. I'm kind of debating, do I buy the new Soda or do I just realize that like the Brave can fly like the Soda? I'm a little unsure. A standard in every one of my in the bags is a Champ T-Bird. And this one I've had for a handful of years as well now, as you can tell. I like them personally. For forehand approach shots, longer than I would use the A54. I'll take these off the tee sometime forehand. And then again, like standstill hyzer approach shots. For me, this specific T-Bird is still pretty stable, even though it's been in my bag for a while. It's definitely in more of a utility role. There's one more mold in my bag that I actually carry more of them than the buzzes. And if you can guess what that is, I'll be even more surprised. If you guess Valks, you would be correct. And I carry 4 of them right now. We'll start with the newest. This is a Pro Valk. Charles actually got this for me recently, so it hasn't been in the bag for very long, but I really like it. It is super easy to throw. Very similar to my Star Valk, which is one of my top discs. I throw this constantly. Having these 2 in the bag is really nice because if anything were to happen to one or the other, they fly very similarly. This is a Champ Glow Valk, and this is a lot more stable than the other 2. This one I love throwing into a headwind or on holes that I need a bit more stability and I want to ensure that it's going to finish left. It is still very much easy to throw like the other Valks, but it is that much more stable. And as you can see throughout my bag, that is my favorite thing to find, is a mold that I like and then a few slight iterations of it so that if winds change or holes call for something specific, I'm familiar with the mold enough and I just have to pick which one is going to be best suited for that scenario. This Valk has been in my bag probably since the first in the bag as well. And if you guys have seen it before, you know that I don't ever really throw it. It's a Champ Valk. It's a Juliana Korver 5-time world chip. And it's almost become like my lucky charm disc. I carry it with me every single round and I don't really throw it anymore. It is super straight flying, super easy to throw, but I more carry it just for the vibes. And our final category is distance drivers, which there have been some changes here. Not to these 2, because I think a sail is another disc that I'm always going to carry with me. I have yet to find a distance driver that I throw better in the woods than a sail. And I know that they are too flippy for a lot of people. For me, in the woods specifically, these are like magic. Moving a step up from that are my thrashers. And again, I have 2 different plastics because I find that the ESP swirl, this disc is so dirty because it's like my go-to driver. Anyway, the ESP swirl is that much more neutral flying than this specific run of Z-Swirl thrashers. So these I love for backhand off of a tee, like when I just want to go straight, easy to throw distance. And the Z-Swirl thrashers I really like for forehand drives, weird like 3/4 shots, again in the woods, if I'm in a bush or something, I pull this out. And if it's a bit windy, but I still want to throw a thrasher, I will disc up to this thrasher instead of this one. I believe this was a new entry last year in the bag, but she's been around the block. This is a Fusion Sheriff, and I absolutely love this disc. I'm so glad that I put it back in my bag. This is a 13 speed, but it's still easy to throw. It is pretty neutral flying for me for a 13 speed, and so when I want distance but I want it to finish more straight than just like a big old hyzer, I pull this out, especially too if you're on like a big open hole where you can try like a flex shot or something like that. I'm going to the Sheriff. It's probably my favorite driver for when I'm trying to throw far. We're down to the final 2 discs, and these serve very similar purposes in my bag. The first is a Lat 64 Grace. This is actually the Kristen Tatar 2-time world champ disc run. I really like the Grace. It is a stable disc that is easy to hold and throw, and so this is one of those discs that I'm pulling out for a big hyzer off the tee when it's a bit windier, an approach shot where I need something more stable, that's when I'm going to this. And similarly, I recently purchased this, which is like so gorgeous. This is a Swirled Star Destroyer. This is the Evelina 2024 World Champ run. So I'm repping the lady champs here. This is a lightweight destroyer though, which if you've seen any of my previous in the bags, I've carried a lightweight destroyer for a long time, lost my favorite one, found this one, and I'm so excited. It's 169, okay, which is a touch lighter than what you get on a lot of other drivers, but it's not down into like the paper plate weight. And if you're a lady who wants to throw something a bit more stable, but you also don't want like the kids discs that like don't go anywhere, a 168 or 169 Star Destroyer is chef's kiss. Can't recommend it enough. There are two other staples that I always have in my bag, one being my mini, which I talked about this last year, but this is a mini that I got at my first ever Ledgestone tournament, so it's another good luck charm. And then I'm always carrying a whale sack specifically. I think these are the best chalk bags for disc golf. Not only are they super cute, you can pick a bunch of different patterns, but they're not messy and they give me the right amount of chalk to where my hands are not sweaty, but I'm also not like covered in chalk. Now, earlier in the video, I was talking about how I still carry the grip bag and I do really love it. However, I am curious and I want to know down in the comments below if you have one of the pound bags or the squatch bags or any other disc golf bag that you are obsessed with. I want to hear about it in the comments because it might be time for me to explore another option. And especially the ones where you can customize like all of the colors and things like that. I want to know if you've done it before and if it's worth it. Let me know. That is everything that is in my bag for the 2025 disc golf season. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any discs that you think that I need to add to this bag, leave it in the comments below because you know that I will try it.